Hi everybody, welcome to Dulcimerica. My name is Futch. Thank you very much for joining me for another November where we introduce some Christmas songs that you can play and get ready for the holidays because that time is coming just around the corner. Today's tune is Bring the Torch, Jeanette, Isabella. A great tune. It is a French carol from the 17th century and a lot of people know it. So it's a good one, and it's a little unusual in that it's in 3/8 time. So if you're not used to dealing with that, this is a great time to kind of take a look at it and see what we can do with it. But first, I want to say hello and thank you to one of my new patrons on Patreon, Mark LaFond. Mark, thank you so very much for becoming a patron recently, and it was great to meet you at the Walnut Valley Festival for the 50th anniversary. Mark, I want to thank you for your support of artists, not just myself, but other people as well. And if you want to check out what Mark does, he has a podcast called Music Trails with Mark LaFond that you can find on Apple Music. Thanks again, Mark, and to all of my patrons. Thank you guys so much. We're in the hot season now, aren't we? All kinds of new stuff coming up, workshops and the weekly stuff that I do, and learning tracks specifically for patrons based on what you're looking for. We have a great time in this community, and if you're wondering what Patreon is all about, you can start today exploring everything by going down to this link. It's part of my open house, which pretty much goes on all the time. And here you can download tablature, video, audio from my albums over the past 30 years. It's all yours to download for free, and at this link you'll be able to find the music for Bring the Torch, Jeanette, Isabella, so you can go along with me. And we're going to break this thing down from melody, and then we're going to build it up into the version that I just played for you, which is what you'll find there on the tablature. If you are curious about Patreon even more and want to explore, continue searching the open house tag, download to your heart's content, and if you think you might enjoy all of the music that you find there, it's only $5 per month or $50.40 per year. That's the 16% discount, and that's 2 months free. Please do consider being a patron like Mark LaFond and the rest of my patrons on Patreon, without whom I have no idea where I'd be. Really, no idea. In any case, thank you guys very much. I'd be in a lot of trouble if I didn't have you, honestly. So, let's go ahead and break this thing down to the nitty-gritty, because I found that if you're learning a new piece of music, the best way to memorize it is to internalize it. So hopefully, if it's a song you already know, then half the battle has been won. So we are in DAD tuning. I got a capo at the 3rd fret, so that's going to put us in the key of G. So we've got G on the bass string, D on the middle string, G on the melody string. For our open notes, that means our G major scale is in effect here. G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. When we're playing at the 3rd fret, playing in the key of G major, you want to avoid the 6.5 fret. Why? Because we've got notes there that don't belong in the key of G major. We've got C sharp and we've got G sharp. So the C sharps on the outer strings, bass and melody, that G sharp, they don't belong in the key of G major. So just avoid the 6.5 fret when you're playing at the 3rd fret and everything will sound good. And our little block is pretty much everything in between the 3rd fret and the 7th fret for this particular tune. Let's start off with the melody. So let me go ahead and put the music on the screen so you can see it. It's just one page here. Key of G, we've got 1 sharp on the staff, F sharp, and we've got 3/8 as the time signature. Now some of you may not be really familiar with that and understand what that's all about. Remember that the top number is how many beats are in the measure, and the bottom number is what gets the beat. What's the note duration that we're using to peg our count to? Well, 8 stands for the 8th note, so the 8th note gets the beat, and there are 3 8 notes per measure. If you're used to playing in 4/4, that might seem like there's not a lot of time to do anything. 3 8 notes has 1.5 beats in 4/4 time. Well, 3/8 time is typically used kind of like 2/4 time. Fewer beats per measure, and we have a smaller unit of measurement because they're typically used for quick moving tunes. So this is a sprightly tune, although we will be not playing it terribly sprightly. But you can take a look at the rhythm we've got going here. So as you're looking at the first measure, we've got our quarter note and an eighth note. There are 2 eighth notes inside of a quarter note. There are 3 eighth notes in the measure. So it's one, bum, 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 bum. I'm clapping once for each of the eighth notes. Bum, 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 bum. And go on to measure number 2. We got 3 eighth notes there in a row. Ba, ba, bum. Measure 3, same, 3 eighth notes, bum, bum, bum. Measure 4, we've got the quarter note and eighth note combination again. So that's going to have this motion kind of like a dotted 8/16 note in 4/4 time. That bum, 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 bum. That's the rhythm we're looking at. Bum, 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 bum. Bum bum ba bum ba bum 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 ba bum bum bum. That's the basic feel we're going for, and all time signatures do is allow us to organize that feel in a way that makes the most sense for the song. So now that we got a sense of the rhythm and how to move through 3/8, let's go ahead and kind of read through the first couple of lines here. So it's bum 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 bum. 1, 2, 3. Notice on measure 8 we have a dotted quarter note. That dot adds half of the value of the note to itself. So we've got a quarter note with 2 eighth notes inside of it, so half of it is going to be an eighth note. That's a total of 3 eighth notes that gets everything in the measure. We have repeat symbols at the end of measure 8 that'll take us to the repeat symbol at the beginning of measure 1. So we're going to repeat measures 1 through 8. Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum. Then we move on to measure 9. Notice there's no repeat symbol here. And we're going to play it all the way to measure 16. No repeat symbol again. So from measure 9. Bum, bum, ba, 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 bum, bum, ba, ba, da, dum, bum, 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 ba, ba, dum. Okay, no repeat there, going to play straight through. Then we get to measure 17, and we will play that to the end, measure 27. And then we'll play everything between 17 and 27 twice because of the repeat symbols at the beginning and end of those measures. Bum, bum, bum ba ba bum 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 ba bum 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 ba ba bum bum. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 bum 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 ba ba bum ba. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. End of tune. Very simple. Measures number 17 and 18. Notice we've got quarter note followed by an eighth rest where that note would normally be. We want to shorten, not shorten, but the phrase that we've been doing has been hitting it and then hitting another note on that next beat. What we're going to do here instead is play the 2 beats and then we're going to cut that off a little bit so we can hear the silence on beat number 3. So we'll go 1, 2, and will be the rest. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and dum bum 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 bum. But 1, 2, and 1, 2, and, or 1, 2, rest, 1, 2, rest. Make sure we put the kibosh, if you will, on the chord. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. All right, so we know the navigation, we know our tuning and all that stuff, we know the time signature. Let's go ahead and walk through the melody. The melody here is going to be pretty easy to find. It's pretty going to be on the melody string. There's only one time it will come over to the middle string, and that is going to be on the middle string 5, the 5th fret. So let's look at the very, very bottom line. We're going to 7, D, and then 0. Since we're capoed to the 3rd fret, that 0 is going to actually give us the 3rd fret note, which is G. So D to G. Okay, then we get to measure 2. That 0 at the bottom, okay, that's an 8th note. Now don't pay any attention to the 5 and the 4 on top of that. That's a chord, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Right now I just want to show you where the melody is so we can focus on memorizing that alone. So on the beginning of measure 2, the very bottom line, we have 0. Then we have a 5 on the middle string. That's F sharp. We're going to come back over to the melody string to play 0. Now that 5 on the middle string is going to be the only time we come over to the middle string. Everything else is on the melody string. So you kind of have to look and listen for it, especially if you know the tune. It'll be a little easy. It comes right early on in the phrase. So let's go ahead from measure 3, first 4, 5, and 6. Back to 5, 4, measure 5, middle string, and then we find ourselves at measure 8. So here's the melody between measure 1 and measure 8. Okay, so whenever I memorize a tune or I'm working on a new arrangement, instead of just writing it all down and keeping my eyes glued to the page all the time, I like to memorize it so then I'm free to sort of pull these new ideas as I'm doing the arrangement and do them on the fly live and not have to be looking at a piece of paper. I feel like I can work better that way as far as bringing in the harmonies and different rhythms and structures. So let's go through the melody a few more times here and just really get it lodged in. That'll make playing it with the harmonies and the chords and the drones a little bit easier. So here we go, just melody by itself. Keep going. And I would just keep doing that over and over again until you feel like it's really under your fingers, and then you can speed it up a little bit. I would keep working with it more and more until you can play it pretty lively with just the melody by itself. What this will do is if you run into a situation where you're playing with other people and they already know the chords to this tune, you can go ahead and play the melody and really be on top of it without having to worry about playing any other self-accompaniment. So it's a really good idea to get that melody under your fingers. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second part of this now. So we go from here. Okay, now we go into this. This is going to be starting at measure number 9. This section is not repeated, and we do have some stuff happening on the middle string here once again. Pay real close attention to measure 12, measure 13, measure 14 as well. Here we go. So starting from measure 9. Middle string, and then back to melody, and we end at measure 16. Let's go back to measure 9 and do that again. Now middle. Now I know that what I've got here, actually our double is going to be on the 5. So our lead-in note is going to be the F sharp and not open G here. Going back to 9. Okay, now on the downbeat of 12, that's what that last note I played was. So now we're going to go 5, and then 4, 5, 6, and then measure 14. on the middle string, and then hit it again on the middle string, and then we take it to melody. Measure 9 again. 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 One more time. Okay, that's the middle section, 9 through 16. That's the part that we do not repeat. We just, it's the creamy filling in between the hard cookie repeat of the beginning and the ending. I've been eating a lot of weird stuff lately. Okay, measure 17 going into measure 27. Let's go ahead and take a look once again, just melody. So here we go from measure 17. And remember, we want to play it for 2 8 notes, just a quarter note there, and then silence on those 8 note rests. Measure 26 and 27 are 6 counts all together. So we're going to be there for 6 beats, and then we come right on back to measure 17. Repetition is key to everything here. The more you do it over and over again, the more it locks into muscle memory, and the more it locks into oral memory as well. All right, let's go ahead and put everything together, just the melody from the very beginning. We're going to repeat measures 1 through 8. Then we're going to play measures 9 through 16 straight through, and then we'll play measures 17 through 27 and repeat those. Here we go. Okay, there's our melody. Now, what's the first thing we can do with this? The first thing we can do with this is somebody else plays the chords, and we just flat pick the melody just like that, and it'll sound great. The next step is that we take care of all that business ourselves. We simply do drone melody style, which is play the melody with that nice G drone behind, just like this. And I forgot to get the stops in there, so let's do this. All right. Trying to be consistent here. Now, That sounds really good. I mean, the mountain dulcimer, if nothing else, is great for simply being able to take melodies and have that drone and have it all sound really cool and from the mountains, barefoot in the dirt. Now, there's something to be said, though, for being able to change harmonies and chords to really make this sound like a full-fledged piece. So we can meet the arrangement that I've tabbed out for you halfway, because with all of the notes and all the chords in place, it's a pretty busy arrangement. So let's find a happy medium here. We're going to play that melody against the drone, and we're going to bring in choice amounts of chords to illustrate some changes. And let me show you where I think those are good places to come in. We're going to start off here. Right here is where I would come in and do this, which is, by the way, a D chord. It's a D5 chord. It's not a full-fledged D major chord. Full-fledged D major chord is D, F sharp, and A. And what I've got here is a 4/04 chord, which is A on the bass string, A on the melody string, and D at the 3rd fret. So we have the root, D, and we have the 5th, A, a root 5 chord, or a 5 chord, or a power chord, they're often called. There's no F sharp in there, and that's fine. We don't need the whole thing. All we need is just that. The same thing with the 101 chord we're playing in D. That 101 chord is an A5 chord. It includes the A, the root of A major. It includes the perfect 5th, which is E, but there's no C sharp there at all. Those are very handy chords because the middle note, that major 3rd interval, can also be a minor 3rd interval, making that a minor chord. If you don't have the 3rd there at all, that means that a root 5 chord or a 5 chord can actually work as either a major chord or a minor chord, which is a good thing to know when you're making arrangements and you don't have the chord you're looking for. All right, so I think that bringing in the 5 chord there is a good thing, and we can hang on the 1 chord for the rest of it with the drone in the background. And that's just enough to be able to play it sprightly and also introduce that chord change. Oh. Whoa, it just started coming down like hardcore rain. We're under like a tropical storm warning as I'm shooting this today again. And it's starting to come down. So what we're doing here is coming from measure 1. Measure number 7 is where you can see the 4/04. And then measure 8. If you don't do anything else, you could totally get away with playing it just like that. Now let's go to the 9th measure. Here's what I would do here. I would go ahead and bring in the 4 chord. That's going to be C major. What we need to do here, and that's going to happen at measure number 13, is we're going to start by playing 6/4 on the downbeat. That's C natural on the bass string, and E, and that is right there on the middle string at the 4th fret. And we're going to walk up the melody using the ring finger or whatever finger we're using on the middle string. So let me walk into that part right there. Okay, did you catch that? Let me go ahead and do that again. Come in with your pickup note 5, try and hit it by itself, and then hit just the bass and middle string. And then, as soon as you hit that melody string, you're free to go all the way across all the strings again. And then I would change this chord. I would go ahead and do the A minor here. and that is measure 15, and then 405 for our D7 chord. So coming back to measure number 9. Middle string, A minor, D7, and that takes us to the ending part. Let's play that one more time just to make sure we've got measures 9 through 16 under our fingertips. So we go to middle, A minor, D7, and then we come over to measure 17. Let's start off with our E minor, 540. 404 is our D. See how the child is sleeping, measure 19. And then right back into our E minor, D, and then beautiful are his dreams. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, repeat. Cut them short. There we go. All right. So this is the happy medium in between playing it drone melody style and then playing it with all of the chords in the full arrangement. So let me go ahead and play it through it for you and show you that we're playing the Goldilocks version. Not too easy, not too hard, but just right. Again. All right. So that's like the medium version. Very, very easy. And hopefully you can get that under your fingers and ready in time for playing it for the season. Now let's just kind of walk through the full version. These chords change every measure, and we don't have to play it lickety-split, but it's still a lot of heavy lifting when you're playing the melody, the rhythms involved there, and of course, playing all the chord changes at the same time. If you do it slowly, measure by measure, and phrase by phrase, it actually works out pretty good. So I'm going to go slowly measure by measure now with everything in place. So from the beginning, I'm using my thumb to come in and grab the melody at the 5th fret on the middle string. Immediately coming down into a bar 4 and then getting my A minor here. So bar 4, walk up into A minor, and then D7, and then melody comes down. Let's do that again. I'm using my ring finger to come down sometimes and get that, as opposed to sliding it down to the 4th fret. Why? Sometimes it feels a little easier and my ring finger's already there. It also allows me a chance to get my thumb up there at the 7th fret ready to lay in on that D. So. And then the second time through, we'll go to the 404, just like we've been ending it with the Goldilocks version of this tune. All right. That's all the chord stuff in the first part of the tune. Second part has got a really weird little chord, and it hurts, but you'll get used to it after a while. So we come down here. We're going to come in and grab the basis of our E minor chord, but our melody is still riding up here. So we're going to walk the thumb down this way. The thumb's going to stay there. The index finger will come up, and I switch over to ring finger to play a C major 7 chord. It's a really, really pretty chord. It's written right into the tune. So. But man, it's some finger twister for sure. And I would spend, this is the hardest part of the tune for me. I just came up with the arrangement 2 days ago. And this has been the stumbling block, is just to form a new muscle memory, because I've never played those two chords together. So. Just those two, just this section right here. I really recommend playing slowly until you can smooth it out. I mean, sometimes your fingers will want to do something else because the tendons are pulling other fingers, and sometimes you'll be like, wait, that's not what's written there. Okay, now let's go to the next section here. That hasn't changed at all. In fact, we really just dropped out all of the chording for that section for our Goldilocks version. We're going to put that section back in here like this. So. Right now, with all the notes and for the entire arrangement in place, walking back through it again from the very beginning. And there is a brand new arrangement of Bring the Torch, Jeanette, Isabella for the Mountain Dulcimer in time for Christmas. I've got more coming, and I don't know why I haven't figured these tunes out yet, but it occurs to me that I haven't tabbed out an arrangement of some really great Christmas carol, and then I put it together. And typically what I do is I just put them up on Patreon, and then they get stored there. So eventually there will be another Christmas book coming. When? I have no idea. But right now I do have at least one Christmas book. That's Mountain Dulcimer and the Band, Book 4, which is available now. And of course, there's tons of Christmas music on Patreon. And once again, patreon.com/BingFutch. Go to Open House. You can download a lot of this Christmas music just by following that one tag through the Open House section. Also, make sure you're downloading the music for today's, and there's a lot more coming as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks again to my patrons. Hope you're having a great holiday season so far, and I look forward to seeing you next week with more Dulcimerica. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you then.